Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to No Dunks Bubble Wrap, recapping Sunday, August 9th of NBA action from the most magical place on earth. Shout out to everyone joining us live right now on YouTube, and much love to everybody listening to the podcast on the Athletic Network and Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your No Dunks classics. I'm J.E. Skeets, and joining us here tonight on a Sunday, as always, we got Tass Mellis.
Pop, people.
Pop, Tass. We got the bearded one, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey, yo. We have the international man of mystery taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lee. And last but not least, making the magic happen, JD.
Hello.
There he is, and here we are. Thanks for joining us. Before we start, I did want to send our best to Hall of Famer Paul Westphal, who we learned today, unfortunately, has been diagnosed with brain cancer. I don't know about you guys. I don't think any of us have had a chance to meet him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but by all accounts, this guy's like one of the most liked people in NBA circles. Dude was a hell of a player too, if you don't know. 5-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, won a title. So much love. Sending our best to Westphal and his family. And may I add, a mighty fuck you to cancer. Okay, so it's official. There's going to be a play-in series, guys. The MegaBowl. It's happening Saturday, August 15th to determine the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. The Grizzlies lost to the Raptors, and the Blazers picked up a huge win over Philly. We're going to get into these games, which means now it's no longer possible for there to be a 4-game difference in the standings. We're getting the 8th versus the 9th seed in the West, though we don't know who the teams are going to actually be because 4 teams remain. We lost 2 today, Tass. The Pelicans, get out of here. Kings, get out of here. But it's still the Grizzlies in the 8th spot despite losing. It's the Blazers in the 9th spot still, half game back after beating the Sixers. And then it's the Spurs right there in 10th and the Suns right there in 11th. But let's start with the Blazers' huge win because Dame Lillard.
Hold on, let me just squeeze in a joke.
Yeah.
Let me just squeeze in a joke because I'm not ashamed to repeat a joke I said on Twitter. Yeah, Pels, Kings going home. They're going fishing, but at least they know they're going to catch something in the Disney River pond thing that has fish. Did it on Twitter, but I just wanted to repeat it. Go ahead.
Excellent. Yes. Pelicans catching fish too. They should be good at that. So yeah, Lillard pops off for 51 in the Blazers win. Huge performance. Again, it should not be this difficult for Portland, but man, do they like to give up points on the other end. Their defense is atrocious. It's embarrassing, quite frankly, but except for Nurk having a nice defensive play on Al Horford in the post, that was nice. But otherwise, Dame Lillard hits those back-to-back threes late at 18 in the fourth quarter. And Tass, he refuses to let this team die. I mean, this is a massive win. They lost last night. We discussed it with the missed free throws. And they come back. They get lucky. Embiid has to go out. But he gets it done, specifically hitting just timely shots late.
God, that's good stuff. You can't really write this stuff. Back-to-back nights, Damian Lillard gets back up off the canvas and drops 51. And it was, this sounds dumb, but it was a quiet 51 watching this game. He just did it at that Dame pace, no reaction, no expression on the face, coming out and just dropping it. And as Trey said yesterday about the Sixers, once you think you know the Sixers, then they're going to do the exact opposite. So they came out and played Josh Richardson, an out-of-body experience, to drop 34. That was quiet because it was up against Dame's 51. And the thing about the Blazers, they're going to let you in the game no matter what. So, yeah, we saw a close game. And, if they do get into this West elimination thing, whatever we're calling it MegaBowl, they'll have close games no matter what on Saturday and Sunday if we get a second one there. So, it's exciting stuff. And Dame, just shut everybody up in a game that they should have won by double digits. And honestly, watching Joel Embiid in those 6 minutes he played, and he usually plays, I think it's his rotation or his substitution is around then anyways. I mean, that was terrible. Everything was terrible to start the game for them. And it actually got better. He was a -6. And then, Josh Richardson and everybody showed up. And Alec Burks, again, another 20-point game. So, the NBA does not stop.
It doesn't. Yeah, Embiid left the game in the first quarter because of a left ankle injury. It looked like he sort of like jammed it on the stanchion, and then he was seen on the sidelines like looking at it and then got up and left, and I'm sure they're being cautious. Didn't look serious, so that means we won't see Joel Embiid until 2023 or something like that. Like, it's going to be like that. Just looks like a tiny little ankle injury. He'll be out 3 years. But what do you think, Trey, of this big win here for the Blazers, despite it not being the sexiest win or most convincing win? Because they really do. It's just it's like, Ole, just go right to the basket on them.
Man.
They're going to let you get a layup.
It's a bit of a disaster. Not too long ago, I was saying, oh, for sure the Blazers could take the Lakers to 7 games. There's no chance. That's ridiculous now that you really think about it. It's like, who'd they lose last year? Al-Farouq Aminu and Mo Harkless. Guys that have been around forever there defensively, and Nurkic was around for most of the season. This year, Nurkic hurt for a while. Those two guys are out. It's got to be a scoring fest. Nurkic will do the best he can, but he's about the only guy out there that has any reputation as a defender. Gary Trent Jr. tries his best, still a young guy, and he finally had his first real off game, so that's why you got to get 51 from Damian Lillard. The Blazers, to win games, have to outscore you, and they have to be shooting well. For Damian Lillard, that was the case tonight. Wasn't so much the case for CJ McCollum or Gary Trent Jr., but, Dame had a little something extra in his pocket for us tonight. It might have been nice to save a couple of those points for the previous night. 15 of 16 free throws. You miss one free throw during a 51-point game. You can't make one of two when it really matters. Come on, man. I thought it was Lillard time. I'm kidding. He was awesome. The Blazers are still fun to watch because somebody's going to be scoring a lot. Sometimes it's them. Sometimes it's the other team.
I think Lillard, on a back-to-back playing 40 minutes and scoring 51 and making the 15 or 16 free throws, he looked exhausted though to me, but it was just that sheer will of his to be like, I can't lose this game. I cannot lose it, because he hit those 2 big threes late, including the 4-point play.
Yeah.
And it was just like, Dame was like, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to do whatever I've got here, because he wasn't really getting reliable offense out of anyone else. CJ was okay tonight. I didn't think he was that great. And Nurk was in foul trouble, and that sort of slowed him down a little bit. Other than that, Melo was good. Melo hit some shots. He got another 20 points, so that was good of him. But you mentioned there, Trey, Gary Trent tonight, he could not hit a thing. I don't know if he did hit one in the end, but that was about it. Hazonia, it's found money, basically, what you get out of him. But from the Sixers side of it, I actually thought guys like Alec Burks and Josh Richardson, especially, and even Shake Milton a little bit there, you could see these guys like, oh my God, I'm going to get some shots. I'm going to get a chance in this offense to be able to do some things out there. And I think that's why, a big reason why they got back in the game. I know there was no defense played by anyone, but these guys are like, wow, the ball's moving around, and like there's someone else who's going to be able to get some baskets here. And Tobias Harris, his contract is an albatross. I'm saying it right now because this was his opportunity to actually be the guy. Right, I'm going to go and get 35 tonight, and I thought he was just awful again. I mean, he got 16 points, but it's like he doesn't step up. He doesn't sort of be the leader on that team when Simmons and Embiid are out. It's these other guys, and I think that's again a knock on him. I think this was his opportunity to say it, but he didn't do anything. But having said all that, the Sixers were in this. They led this one late, and it felt like a bit of a deja vu from the Blazers from the night before, that they led most of this game, but their defense was just so bad, and it took a couple of haymakers from Lillard really to save him, and that's all it was in the end. They can thank him if they do make this playoff series, this play-in game. It's going to be basically whatever Lillard can give them to get them any further than that, because just don't have a lot of faith. Outside of CJ, I mean, he is good, but the rest of the guys there, I'm just not all that confident in.
I still think if the Blazers get in there, like you said, Trey, the offense can win them a couple games, man. They really can. Like, both of those guys can go for the 40 or 50s. I think it could happen in a couple games, but the defense, oh boy, yeah, it's terrible. Well, the Spurs beat the Pelicans 122-113. They stay alive. They're still in this. Now, they lost Derek White to a knee injury. I don't know. I don't have an update in front of me. Have they released one? I know the Spurs like to keep things close to the vest, but do we know any details? He had the ice pack on it. I saw him hobbling out of the arena, of course, but have they said it's, results back or stuff like that? Or are they just, we don't know yet? I
haven't seen anything myself, but they
obviously would be
him.
A huge blow if he's been incredible. He's been there, DeRozan's the closer, but he's been solid. He's been really, really good for them. Yeah. But the Pelicans are gone. JJ Redick's playoff streak, pour some out. I'm not going to pour out this sweet Miller, but it's over. 13 years of making the playoffs. I guess even longer when they start counting his college career, his high school career. The guy's like never not played in the playoffs, but it's a wrap because the Pelicans just didn't have a lot of fight in them.
There was a report from Joe Varden before the game that there were players and coaching staff listening to Nirvana right before the game in a makeshift weight room. And the only guy it could possibly be was JJ Redick. And now knowing that he hadn't missed the playoffs since Nirvana was active, basically, you had to think he was trying to throw it back, try to recapture that magic, figure out a way that the Pelicans can, go quiet, loud, quiet, and make their way back into the playoffs. But it's just sad for JJ Redick, I guess all apologies to him. Not happening this year.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, I mean, the Pelicans had a really disappointing bubble experience. I saw Nate Duncan tweet, you wonder in retrospect if the Pelicans' fate was sealed the moment Zion did have to leave the bubble for the family emergency. And then, he's been okay. He's been getting his numbers. He's been atrocious defensively, but he hasn't been the same as we saw in those 19 games in the regular season. And they were struggling to integrate him and then also try and win games. And it was a tough go of it. And they dropped some stinkers, including this one. I mean, the Spurs, they're the zombie Spurs. You can never count them out, but the Pelicans have more talent, I'm sorry, than the San Antonio Spurs in a lot of teams they've actually lost to, in my opinion, and they've played like crap. Your most improved pick at the beginning of the season, Lily, I believe Lonzo Ball. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lucky. There's a lot of eyes and attention on the Zion story, maybe Brandon Ingram a little bit. Now JJ is not making the playoffs. Lonzo Ball, go look at his numbers in the playoffs, or excuse me, the bubble.
Yeah.
Oh
he actually Bleacher Report tweeted out his numbers prior to today's game, and it's 5.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 26% from the field and 19% from three. And he retweeted that with "make sure you post my shit next year too." #TMC. I don't know what that means, but
the marathon continues.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. But then to go out and lay another egg today is like, it's like, come on, man. You
like next year.
Yeah, you didn't say next game. You said next year. Just wait.
I know, but look,
you got to pick him for most improved next year.
Already. It's an interesting situation he's in because I saw, why I picked him was in the preseason. I saw him and Zoe working well together. And when they did play, they had some moments. So I think there is something there. But yeah, Lonzo, if he can't shoot, if he can't sort of become some sort of a threat, shooting whichever shot it wants to be, whether it's driving inside or the mid-range or the three-pointers, then he's going to be limited to how effective he's going to be. And he had a terrible bubble. The Pelicans had a terrible bubble, and not sure where he goes from here right now. But because he's got 1 year left, I believe, on his contract. I don't think the Pelicans are going to extend him. I wouldn't say myself.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Not right now. He had a very, very bad go down there in Orlando. He hates Orlando. But wait till next year. It'll be awesome. So let's just set it again. It's Grizzlies in the 8th spot. Then you've got the Blazers a half game back. The Spurs are a game back from the Grizzlies, so a half game back from the Blazers. And then the Suns right there. They're 1 game back from the Blazers. So the remaining schedule tasks, Memphis has Boston and Milwaukee. Portland's got Dallas and Brooklyn. Phoenix has OKC, Philly, and Dallas. So they have a back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. 3 games remaining. And then the Spurs now have the Rockets and the Jazz. A lot of things can happen here. Like if the Grizzlies lose outright and then the Blazers, Suns, and Spurs all win, I think it's then like the Blazers would be the 8th seed and the Suns would be the 9th seed. So the Spurs could still get screwed. There's a lot of things that can happen here. I actually hate Tess that they're not – any of these 4 teams are done playing each other. It's sort of like a little disappointing. Like I wish there was like 1 more, maybe 2 more matchups between these 4 squads, but they're just playing all these other teams, a lot of Eastern Conference teams in the mix. But who do you like here as of Sunday night? I just set it all up there. Are the Grizzlies and the Blazers to you still the favorites to take ultimately the 8th and 9th seeds?
You want me to figure this out?
Come on, man.
Sunday night on our 11th show in a row?
Pay you the big bucks, man. Come on. Break it down.
Yeah, I'm like Draymond Green on the TNT desk. They're paying me huge bucks. Who cares about a $50,000 tampering fine, which we'll get to. I think, those 2 teams, the Grizzlies and the Blazers, will get in, I assume. And we'll get into our pick and payoff game later on. The unbeaten Suns have a big game on Monday. It's almost do or die for the Suns every single game here. And so, I think you got to expect the unexpected in this bubble, though. I think the only thing that I expect are monstrous offensive games. Like watching those Pelicans, you talked about the Blazers and how everyone was olaying to the rim. The Pelicans were horrible, all bubble long defensively. That's the Zion thing can be an excuse, I think, for just maybe the team camaraderie and the fact that he comes out and says, I'm pissed and I don't like what's going on here. And maybe the whole unit isn't, I don't know, together. But I mean, that's just another bullcrap excuse I'm making for a team that was really bad defensively. They were just so bad. So
the difference with them, though, compared to the Blazers, is that the Pelicans have guys who are known for their defense, right? Like Drew Holiday, he's a defender. Lonzo Ball supposed to be a defender. Same with Derek Favors. And I feel like season after season after season, even having Anthony Davis there, a guy who's a defensive player of the year candidate, they underperform on that end. Something doesn't add up to me. So that makes you wonder how much longer Alvin Gentry is going to be the guy for David Griffin, because young teams with a superstar like Zion, they're going to want to show improvement right away. Obviously, this season was not that, with Zion being in and out of the lineup, not to mention all the other injuries they had. But the clock is ticking, I would be thinking. Yeah.
And it was like they came out, this is a do or die game today. And anybody could get the ball at the 3-point line and go to the rim unimpeded. And that's what happened. It was a 62-point first half for the Spurs. They allowed 140 points to the Kings the other night. It was just embarrassing. So when we talked earlier before the bubble about the over-under line of a guy having 55.5 points or more in a game, we have gotten so close to that mark. We haven't quite got there. We only got, 5 more nights here, but we're getting friggin' close. And it's getting a little scary if you took the under, which I did. I didn't bet on it, but I would definitely have taken the under. The numbers are just skyrocketing. Everybody seems to be doing whatever they want against defenses, and it's just weird. Trey mentions, the personnel that they have. Gentry is definitely somebody you have to look at with the way things are. But I don't know. Everybody can score these days. Can I throw in a quick trivia question? Dame, 8th player in NBA history with at least 5 50-point games in a season. That's what got me to, whoa, we're going to get a 56-point game at some point. Name the other 7 in NBA history that have had at least 5 50-point games. It should be easy.
Kobe, James Harden.
Kobe, James Harden are correct.
Jordan, Iverson.
Yeah.
Jordan, no Iverson.
Okay.
Wilt.
4 more. Wilt is 1. 3 more.
LeBron?
All oldies.
Oh,
What was that,
Kareem.
Lee? Kareem, 2 more.
Larry Bird.
Elgin Baylor.
Nice pull. And another one you don't think
Jerry
of
West.
very often. No, but similar in one
Maravich.
aspect. No, but similar in one aspect.
Gail Goodrich.
No.
He's a Laker. Shaq?
Earl the Pearl.
No.
Rick Barry.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
That's right. Wilt, Kobe, James, Michael Jordan, Rick Barry, Kareem, Elgin Baylor, not Paul George on that list. Dame, the 8th player, 5 50-point games. That's a lot of numbers. That's a lot.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, like the bet was, the 55.5 to someone score over that in one of these games in the seeding games, not the playoffs. Lillard, and I would throw Booker into the mix there too. Very likely have a 50 in them still, a 50 burger. It could be in play here. Maybe even DeRozan. If he's somehow parading to the free throw line, less likely because he can't add the threes to the mix as much as those guys. But it's still there. I don't know who would it be on the Grizzlies. Maybe Dylan Brooks would shoot for it. But I do think it is going to be the Grizzlies and Blazers ultimately still in the 8th and 9th spot, because it's in their hands, right? They have to, if they both win a game, they're basically in. Both of those squads. Again, it can make your brain hurt trying to figure it out, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes. Memphis wins one of their final 2 games, they're in. Blazers win one of their final 2 games, they're in. Now, I don't know, it could still maybe depend on who's 8th and 9th, but they would ultimately be in the thing. And that is still a race too, right, Lee? It's not like we're all caught in like, oh, can the Suns do it? Can the Spurs do it? Get into the 9th? Well, there's actually the race for the 8th and 9th spot too. Like, you want to be 8th, so you only got to win one damn game. Right?
Yeah. Just looking at it too with the Spurs, they only have 2 games remaining, and they are right now 11th, even though they're actually only 20 games back, whereas the Suns in 10th are 20 and a half games back because they've lost one more game.
Yes,
so I'm trying to look at it too.
But the win percentage is really what you want to focus on.
I know, because I've got a feeling that the Spurs are somehow going to do it because they play the Rockets and the Jazz, and I feel that James Harden now is going to rest surely one of these last two games. And that's what you also look at now. Who else these other guys are playing? Who else is going to be rested? The Raptors, we know, have clinched second spot, so they're likely to rest some players. Now, I'm not sure how their schedule is against any of these, but
they don't play any of these teams. But
yeah. But the thing is, all these other teams now are probably starting to jockey a little bit, and they're like, okay, we can, like tomorrow, for example, the Thunder and the Suns. I mean, will anyone from the Thunder rest? After coming off a back-to-back today, that's one thing. Whereas the Suns, you think they're obviously have to go for it. They're going to go full squad. So, excuse me. It feels like you would want to certainly be no worse than the Blazers. Excuse me, Blazers right now, because once your destiny is
more
in
like
your hands,
Belcher report. No, that was a cough. Bad one.
Water cough too, by the way. I've been guzzling so much water here.
You cough on some lice over there.
Yeah,
the old water cough.
But, Anyway, I've got.
Stop reading me the standings.
That's the thing. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to see who realistically is going to get in, because the Spurs, without Derek White potentially, they do give up a ton of points, but it's the Spurs, and it might be Popovich's last season. So maybe.
No, I hear you. I hear you on a lot of these teams that all these four teams are going to be playing. Like, we don't know if they're going to be going full tilt. It's like, how many minutes for your stars? Are they even playing them at all? You're absolutely right. But what's weird to me, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. We are here on Sunday night. We're wrapping it up. The playoffs start, a week tomorrow. So a week on Monday. We don't know any playoff matchups yet, do we? There's nothing 100% locked in. Like,
Clippers.
we're not locked into 2-7 Clippers Mavs, are we? We're not.
No, I guess not.
That one's close, right?
Yeah. So nothing is actually confirmed. Like, okay, these teams are playing each other. Let's start breaking it down. That's a little wild. Now I bring that up because there is still, like, in both conferences of like, well, who would we like to play? Oh, in the 3-6 or maybe 4-5, like, whatever. Like, which team would we be better off maybe battling? So that could come into play, Lee, is what I was getting at, like with some of these games that are involving some of these teams still trying to get into the damn MegaBowl. So.
But then again, because everything is so bunched together, teams are probably just like, listen, just go out there and just win, because even if you get the result you're looking
Al
for.
Davis, just win, baby. Yeah.
Throw it deep.
I don't know. It's fun. It is fun though. It is like this part of it. This part of it is exciting that we are.
I know. I love checking the standings. I love looking at percentages, trying to see if my favorite players are going to play.
Like considering how bad the Grizzlies have been, and I would say outside the Pelicans and the Kings, they've been the worst team, record-wise in this bubble, and they could still make it though. So like you're sort of hoping they can pull it off. To see Morant, we've lost Zion, of course, he's done for good, and so maybe we still get Ja Morant. But then again, if he's there, you want Damian, really, don't you? I don't know.
All right, Lee,
I will say to.
We gotta get Lee to bed, man.
It's too early, man. It's too early. I'm not.
But then you think, like, would you want the Suns? Devin Booker getting his first playoff experience. It's hard to tell.
I'm not
I just
delirious.
want him to go through all 22 teams. Like, but you gotta think, if you're the Bucks, like, what are you doing these Falcons games? To the Raptors.
Trey, let me ask you: if you're the Bucks right now, what do you do? Skeets, my man. If you're the Jazz, you're resting Rudy Gobert these last couple of games.
Yeah. I think I am, Lee.
I like it.
I think since I've had about 45 minutes while Lee was talking to look at the standings here, I think I figured out if the Nets win, because they're playing right now, if they win, then we're locked into a Raps-Nets first round match.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so the Nets would lock
so.
up the 7th seed. Okay, that will be exciting.
So.
Can't wait to break down that series. Actually, the Nets are gonna beat the Raps. The Raps are gonna give them one game. The Nets are actually have shot the ball pretty damn well at times. They might just catch fire in one of those games. The Raps did beat the Grizzlies. I don't think we need to go in that in great detail. It's the Naismith Cup, but a quality win from the Raps after they were down pretty early in that game. Fought back. Okay. Let's get to some quick news. Within one of those games, Melo, he passed two Celtics legends for 15th place on the NBA's all-time scoring list. He entered the day with 26,391 points scored 10 in the first half to surpass John Havlicek and Paul Pierce. So he bumps up to 15th overall. I think he's only he's less than 100 back. If you want to fact check me on that, from Tim Duncan in 14th spot. So Melo climbing up the NBA's all-time scoring list. That's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing. I mean, it's weird because it's with everything going on here in 2020 and this whole bubble and what's going on with the races, it's who really cares? But 15th all time is no joke. So kudos to Melo, and he's not done. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but how high could this guy go if he plays a couple more years of Melo? I know he was out of the league there for a bit, but his back is in shape, and you can't tell me he still can't obviously get buckets at times on the right squad. So he's going to get some more points, I think, in his career.
He can get top 10.
Top 10. Wow.
Yeah,
really? So how far is he back from that?
Well, Elvin Hayes has got 27,313. So it's about 1,000 behind Elvin Hayes. But I mean, Melo, you can see him easily hanging around for another 2 or 3 seasons to get those 1,000 points. So
wow, top 10.
Wouldn't have said that 6 months ago, I don't think.
No.
Right?
No.
Carmelo Anthony was out of the league for 16 months, 18 months, whatever it ended up being. And now we're talking about he'll be able to tack a couple of more years onto his career and end up as a top 10 all-time scorer. Pretty cool.
Yep.
Was he gone that long?
Yeah,
gone for a minute.
Months?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because it was 10 games into that.
To
It was 10 games into last season, I think, when the Rockets waived him, and so he missed that the rest of that season.
That was last season.
Yeah, and then the Blazers didn't pick him up until. It
feels like a decade ago.
Yeah.
All right, kudos to Melo. That's pretty awesome. The other news here, just quickly, Tass, you slipped it in there at the beginning. Draymond Green gets slapped with a $50,000 tampering fine for saying Devin Booker should leave the Suns on TNT. If you don't remember, we talked about it when he said it, but he said, quote, "It's not good for him." He's talking about Booker. "It's not good for his career. They got to get Book out of Phoenix. I need my man to go somewhere where he can play great basketball all the time and win because he's that type of player." League didn't like that, Tass. $50,000. Were you surprised by this at all? I mean, he's on inside talking to Chuck and Kenny. Supposed to give his hot takes. Didn't even say, he's coming to the Warriors. You brought that up, Tass, the other night. He didn't say that. He was just the Suns have always been bad. He's a great player. He should go somewhere else. But league are tighten up the rules here, I guess.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I mean, by the letter of the law, sure, but he's talking on television with his friends. This is inside the NBA. Anything goes. You can run to the board every show, Skeets, and it's all good. So I was just a little surprised because, it just feels different. I guess Magic Johnson can't say whatever he wants on Jimmy Kimmel. That's where he got his big fine. I guess you go on TV, there's still rules. I guess TV is not free from all rules, I guess.
Well, who's paying that fine for him is I want to know, Trey. Is it Scooter? Is it Jeremy? Somebody's got to pay that fine at TNT. Honestly, you brought him on to say this stuff.
I just
Is it worth $50,000 to go viral?
Right.
Yeah.
Probably.
Finally, for the first time in bubble history.
That's right.
I just tweeted because he was breaking down some footage and he mentioned Wenyen Gabriel's name, but his full name. I guess he said Gabriel, but whatever. He's commenting on a guy who barely played this season, barely played. He's playing for the Portland Trail Blazers right now as a backup big. I don't think Chuck is doing that. I don't even think Kenny, who's very good, is doing that. Shaq, we know he's not doing that. Okay, Ernie Johnson can do that, but come on, Draymond Green pulled out Wenyen Gabriel's name while breaking down some footage very well, by the way, what he said the Blazers should be doing.
You're telling me that didn't go viral?
He can do it both.
It did in my heart.
He can do it both. The hard-hitting analysis, like Tass said, I did see that clip. It was actually awesome. And then, he can give you the viral moments where he just says, "Get Book out of there," and gets fined $50,000. I actually was a little surprised by this. I know, again, by the rule, I guess that is player-to-player tampering. I guess saying, "Hey, that guy's on a crappy team," even though the Suns are killing it right now. It was weird timing, as we talked about. But I didn't know it was that extreme. I'm just saying, "Hey, he's on a bad franchise. He should play on a winning team."
Well, didn't Ernie say to him at the end, "Are you tampering here?" And he's like,
He said,
maybe a little.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's also a little additional slap on the wrist for saying, "Hey, man, you're an active player. You're going on national TV and trashing the Suns at their highest moment in the past 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe don't do that. This is your first time getting the big spotlight on inside the NBA as an analyst. Make your name for doing the great breakdowns of stuff, not trashing other players."
Yeah, I think that's also from the NBA, just sending a little message just don't get up there and create that sort of a headline, because you shouldn't do it. You're not supposed to be doing it in the off season, player to player. So we're just going to have to send this message to show everyone that we're not tolerating it. But of course, $50,000 means nothing to Draymond Green and whoever's going to pay it. But if you're the Suns, you're not happy with that headline. You're not, they're having a great moment and they're saying, "Hey, Booker, get out of that's a terrible franchise." They don't want to hear that. So the NBA just has to acknowledge that they don't like that sort of stuff, because Draymond, otherwise, he's been really good on the TNT. Yeah. So I can see a role for him at some point like that. But he.
He'll be able to say that all he wants when he's not playing anymore.
Yeah,
I guess he just needs to save it if he really feels that way. Yeah. I think I saw Bobby Marks from ESPN say that the fine amount is the maximum the NBA can give a player before he can file a grievance. So it's like, if they find him $50,000 and $1, he could then appeal it. But no, he's taken this $50,000 and given it to the NBA, and hopefully it goes to a good cause, goes to charity or something. All right, so that's all news I got. We do have some fun emails, though. Why don't we get them tonight, because we don't have a lot going on here, because we're not going to go through every game. There's some sort of pointless games. I know the Celtics won in overtime, and is there a game even still going on at this moment? Like, are the Nets and Clippers still playing? Yeah. But who cares? Let's step on the beach. Let's get some cues.
Yeah, let's get to this one, because this guy is a Dame hater, and just a teaser. He emailed again in tonight after Dame's 51-point performance. Oh. I get to it in a sec after I read this. So he emailed in, "No dunkers, no time for irony here, just earnest appreciation for your grind. You've taken on the task of wrapping the bubble each and every night, and for that, we, your fans, are grateful. Thank you. More on grind," he says. "When did Dame Lillard become the NBA's authority on the subject? Why have we, the NBA community, exalted him to such a lofty perch? In his latest beef, he cites eliminating Paul George and Pat Beverly from the playoffs. But why have we forgotten that those two playoff series are the only good playoff series Dame Lillard has ever played? What happened? Does he get extra credit for staying in the Portland market? Does the veneer of a rap career remove all stains? You dudes, who I respect, seem to kneel at his altar so much so that you attribute Jay-Z lyrics to him. Hey, that one's on me, emailer man. That one's totally on me, and my Googling ability is very weak last night. You dudes, who I respect, seem to... Oh, I just read that. Once again, this is not ironic. Jigga, the GOAT, wrote those bars at a time when he felt most aggrieved. Is Dame somehow justified in feeling similarly? Because if so, I don't understand why. To me, he looks like a player who's been given more than he deserves. Like a guy who's parlayed some regular season success and limited playoff success into consensus approval. And frankly, that's something that never happens. So why him, particularly when compared this time to Paul George, a player who's already led teams to more conference finals appearances than Dame ever has? A player who took the Heatles to 7 while Dame was swept by an undermanned Warriors squad. Lee says he gives Paul George full credit for returning from injury, but does he actually understand what full credit means? I mean, the guy at age 24, while playing for Team USA, snapped his leg in half, then came all the way back to finish third in both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year voting just last season. I kind of did forgot that last part. What has Dame ever done that's even remotely comparable? Look, you guys are grinding, but that doesn't mean you can't do it better. And this beef, to be ironic, deserves more time on the grill. Your char lines here are sloppy. You left the center too bloody to be considered rare. You need to give this one another look because, as is, you've fallen for Dame's camera tricks. He beat PG in what amounts to a rap battle. He hit a shot that he simply hits. But pound for pound, Dame versus PG is not a KO. If it was, Dame would be on the ground. Brent in DC, and then he
he sent in more.
No. Well, he emailed. Yeah, I included most of that for sure. But he emailed in tonight after Dame Lillard's 51-point performance and just said, "Scrap that. Never mind."
Okay, you saved it, Brent. It was a great email. I do respect the email. Thank you for sending it in. What'd you think, Lily? I mean, you had a lot to say about the battle last night, scoring it between PG and Dame and Beverly a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, both of them are great players, but to say Dame's only had two good sort of playoff series is pretty ridiculous. And to say that, he got swept by an undermanned Warriors team last season. Now, look, the Warriors would no Kevin Durant, of course, but they still had Draymond, Steph, Clay, Andre Iguodala. I mean, there's not exactly like a bunch of scrubs out there that Dame lost to. Lillard's been one of the most resilient, consistent performers has carried a huge workload his entire career. I mean, his best players have been LaMarcus Aldridge and CJ McCollum, very good players. But Dame has kept the Blazers consistent that entire time. And he's a great player. Paul George is a great player too. Paul George is a star player. But the point of like kind of what happened last night was, I mean, like say Lillard ended Paul George's career in OKC that he asked to be traded out. And Paul George, like last night, jumped into a battle that he didn't need to be in. You know, that was Patrick Beverley who's doing that. And Paul George jumped in and, you know, saying you're going home after a regular season loss. Like you can't compare that to Lillard knocking in the 37-footer in Paul George's face. So, you know, and the conference finals, yeah, he's been to 2, Dame's been to 1. Okay. I mean, you're still, you know, at that same level, whether you get swept or whatever. So, you know, he's clearly, to me, this guy, Brent, is just a Paul George fan and not a Dame Lillard fan, which is fine. You know, not everyone likes everyone the same, but Lillard, to me, if you can't recognize his brilliance and how great a player he is, he was all NBA first team. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember now, but Lillard's an incredible player, and you know he's done some things for that Blazers franchise that I don't think someone like Paul George would have been able to do. But that's just my opinion. Lillard's great. Paul George is great. Paul George is a two-way player, but in this particular bout against Lillard KO'd him. I mean, he wasn't even getting off the canvas for that one, Paul George. But he wasn't. I mean, you know, he played the sympathy card, which you can't do that, man. After you're throwing punches, you can't say, I was going to be awesome if I didn't injure myself. I mean, yeah, look at Lillard.
I was going to be Justin Bieber if I learned how to sing and dance. You know?
I mean, Lillard is not the sort of guy who load manages, whether that's good or bad or not. But you know, when Lillard plays, and we're seeing it now, he's playing 40 minutes on a back-to-back, carrying his team again, because it means so much for him to do it for Portland. And again, that might end up costing Lillard in his career. He might end up without a championship, or he might have to eventually go somewhere else. But I respect the fact that Lillard, you know, he's going to do it his way. Whether that is successful or not in terms of winning a championship, we'll find out. But
yeah, but Brent is saying, guys like you, Lee, in the media, man, you just respect Damian Lillard too much.
Oh, come on.
Too much love is what he's saying.
I don't know. I don't understand how you can't, you know, acknowledge and respect what Lillard has done for Portland and what he continues to do. He's an incredible player.
Well, it sounds like you are giving him extra credit for staying in Portland.
I am. I mean, and again, that's whether that's right or wrong for Lillard. I mean, Paul George is totally within his rights to go somewhere else as well. And he's gone. He went to OKC and then he said, I want to go to the Clippers. And he got to the Clippers. Again, that's his prerogative. He can do that. And if he wins a championship, good on him, Paul George, because the Clippers basically became favorite when he also got traded there. So that just shows how good a player he is. But you know, everyone does things differently. You know, like Shaq he left his team. He left a couple of times. You know, LeBron's left. So, you know, Kevin Durant, everyone, you know, superstar players that said, right, I've had enough and I'm going somewhere else and to have success and to win. So they're allowed to do that. I just think that Lillard is the sort of player who's almost more prepared to say, I'm just going to do what I can here in Portland rather than go somewhere else. And again, he might end up with one conference finals appearance and that'll be it. And he might just be satisfied with that. He would obviously love a championship. Everyone would. But I sort of feel that Lillard is he's more invested in just being a Blazer. He's invested in the community and you know, his legacy is about what he perceives to be loyalty. So, you know, but Paul George is great. I love Paul George. I think Paul George, when he gets it going, man,
Let's
he's
look at
one
the
of the
standings
most,
again.
He's one of the most famous fun players to watch when he's got
pretty
it going.
famous for a guy with just like 2 boring first names. He's pretty
And
famous.
hey, listen, to come back like he did from that broken leg to raise to that level again, my hat goes off to Paul George.
And to be 2 parts of the Beatles, that's crazy.
But this
2
really,
beloved parts.
it didn't really have anything
too
to
late.
do with Paul George, the player. This had nothing to do with Paul George's career. This was about what happened on the court. These guys laughing at Damian Lillard. That's what it was about. And the Instagram back and forth. That's what it was about. And Paul George and Patrick Beverley were being petty. And Damian Lillard was taking the high road. So that's why he wins. And then we get into, a guy who left and a guy who didn't leave. I mean, that's, of course, Damian Lillard's resume is bulletproof because he didn't leave. But this doesn't have to do with Paul George, the player. And I think Paul George, the player, definitely gets overlooked just because he was up against LeBron and no one really cares how good the second place team was. But they were the best second place team against LeBron. He was awesome for a long time. And, that's that. I think actually people forget how good Paul George was over that span because he's had more accolades than Damian Lillard, and they're about the same age. And Paul George missed a good amount of time. And I'll ask you guys, who is whose career would you rather have, or who do you think is the better player? Because to me, it's Paul George.
Wow.
Yeah, because when you actually look at it, he shook LeBron's hand after a dunk in a.
If you want to talk injury, the only reason the Pacers made 2 conference finals is because Derrick Rose kept blowing out his knee. The Bulls were better than the Pacers. Paul George is a circumstantial superstar. I'm not the right guy to ask these questions. I would have wrote this exact same email the other way around. What are we giving Paul George credit for? Being the best number 2 in the league? The guy's been a number 2 his whole career. It took until he finally realized it for his teams to actually be considered title contenders, championship contenders, rather than a nice second place team.
He was number 2 to LeBron? He was a number 1 on his team in Indiana. Obviously.
Okay, he was the number 1 on his team in Indiana, but
and he was the best team of all the teams that lost to LeBron. They went to 7 games. Anyways,
excuse
it
me.
doesn't matter.
Excuse me.
See, Trey disagrees
Did the
with
Pacers
that,
ever lead the league in wins back-to-back seasons? I don't remember that.
They took him to 2 Eastern Conference Finals back to back.
The road was paved. The road was paved with injuries, and then Paul George has the gall to bring up injuries as a reason he could have been even better.
Yeah, I mean,
to
that's
answer
lame.
your
That
question,
part's
though,
lame.
Cass, I will pick Lillard, and here's why. Lillard is going to be sort of this generation's Iverson to some extent. The smaller, lovable, the underdog type guy who gets buckets, is just is a walking 50-point guy. And maybe he comes up short ultimately. Now, I know Iverson's funny because he, of course, moved around, but he really, at his core, is like, he's Philadelphia. It's like, that's just him. And I think Lillard will have a similar career with Portland. And I think he'll be applauded for that, maybe more than a Paul George's unbelievable career, like you're saying. Maybe it even ends with a title. I think people will fondly remember Lillard more than Paul George.
100%. Yeah, as far as the reputation goes, that's not even a comparison. He is bulletproof, no doubt. And this idea that the emailer Brent wrote in that he's been given everything, very, very untrue. He's at a small school at Weber State. He got to where he was because he's amazing. And he is, maybe his best years are ahead of him, like the next 2-3 years. And so
here's what they should do. Damian Lillard and Paul George play on the same team. You're perfect. Use some defense on the wing positions now.
Give us a Blazers Clippers first round. Just give it to us. That'd be awesome. That would be unbelievable.
Okay, well, that's not happening in the first round. It could happen, of course, way down the line in the playoffs, but unlikely. Unlikely. All right, let's. Wow, we went long on that one. We got one more here.
Yeah, let's do it. Greetings, my dudes. Since y'all started doing bubble wrap, I've enjoyed your lively ad reads for dugout mugs, especially when it devolves into Lee praising Judgy for his dingers. Out of curiosity, I had to check it out for myself. And while I was prepared to quickly take a peek and move on with my life, I was actually really impressed with their products. I ended up ordering a Red Sox mug for my friend with that sweet 30% off. Thanks to y'all. This leads me to my question. When was the time, basketball or otherwise, that you just didn't see the appeal of something that other people were really digging? Forrest Gump, Jazzercise Blossom. That's from Evan Fleming. So a time when you didn't see the appeal of something that other people were really into.
Well, before we get to that, Lee, what's the update on Judgy? Are we all rising tonight? Am I standing up tonight? What happened today?
Rough day at the plate for Judgy. 0 for 4. No Ks. So I'm thinking he just got he made some contact, but just flied out. Maybe a pop-up.
That's what you're thinking.
Warning track power.
Yeah. So rough night, unfortunately. It's become like the thing about baseball, they just play every day, which is awesome. So I know that there's going to be a box score to check. But I also know there's been a few fans tweeting in when Judgy socks a dinger. So so it's great. I'm really enjoying it. And I hope he can go yard a few more times. It's fun.
I saw Fernando Tatis Jr. caught him for the lead in dingers in the MLB
really?
Right now.
Wow.
Wow. Watch out for those Padres.
What about the Stout Man? How's he doing?
Trout Man?
Stout, isn't that his name?
Are you talking about Trout?
Oh, Trout. Yeah.
JD was having a stout last night. I think that's what
He's the $300 million man, isn't he? The Trout Man?
He's the $300 fish. Yeah. $300 million fish. Never mind. Okay, let's answer the question. I got 2 answers, actually. One basketball, one non-basketball. Basketball-wise, that I didn't see the appeal of something that other people are digging, and I've started to come around a little bit on the virtual fans. Okay? Maybe it's just because we've seen them now like 10 consecutive days or whatever. They're there. But I will say I've been pleasantly surprised with how much fun the broadcasts are having with who they're putting in the virtual fans. Like we get like appearances from like Bill Walton, and then there's somebody with an iguana because Jeff Van Gundy asked, and like there's a lot of silliness going on. Still looks like crap. I don't care all that much for it. I like the logos, just how it looks when it comes to like the overall broadcast presentation. But if you're going to have them, then be funny with it. And for the most part, they have. Like people, whatever they're wearing in the crowd, or again, all these sort of like guests that they get is pretty good. I hope to see Mike, what's his name? Mike Strout? Mike Stout? Mike Trout?
Mike Stout.
That's
He's a Clippers fan or a Lakers fan?
I'm not sure. I don't know. What are you gonna say, Lee?
Jeff Van Gundy said the other day something about he saw someone had a goat in their thing. So, where the hell is Mo Verney, by the way? I haven't seen him in a Raptors virtual fan. If I don't see Mo Verney, I'm going to freak out. I am going to freak out. Come on, Mo. What are you doing, bro?
I thought you were a Raptors fan, Mo.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
what it gives.
We've seen Nav. Now we need to see Mo.
Okay.
So, yeah, come on. Glasses on, hat on.
Yeah. Ultracourtside.com. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Just do it.
My non-basketball answer to this is Sriracha. I was late to the game on Sriracha. And
I would imagine that's right up your alley.
Exactly. You would think
A
so.
little sweetness to it,
I'm a
yeah.
sauce man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He was a great director, wasn't he, JD, for our show?
What? Sriracha?
Oh my god! Cut his mic. Oh man! Mute him. I mean, I've made some bad jokes tonight too.
Aaron
That's
Judge,
next level bad.
Judgy didn't.
Because no one gets that joke. That's the other part.
Yeah, I mean
At
the
least
Mo
my
Verney
bad
one was
Beatles
pretty
joke.
limited.
Yeah.
Mo Verney was a limited fan base than that one. Judgy didn't K tonight, but Lee, you stepped up to the plate and whiffed it.
That's all right. Sometimes you suck a dinger. Sometimes you strike out swinging. That's the way it goes, man. With
Sometimes
jokes.
you
should
cough
know-
on your water.
Tassie, you should know with puns, man. I mean, you send a few puns out there online, and sometimes they just, you're just lining out. You're grounding into double play sometimes. Other times,
Oh, got him.
Turning two on you quick.
bags of juiced and all. No, GDIP, man. Or GIDP.
GIDP.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Stop talking, man.
E. Ellis. Get outta here.
All right, Sriracha. That's my answer. Somebody else answer this. You got anything?
I wanted a hoverboard, man. I did. I wanted a hoverboard until one night in Las Vegas, somebody had one in the lobby of our hotel, and I said, "Hey, man, can I give that a try?" And I drove it right into the wall, like instantly into the wall, and fell over. I was like, you know what? I wasn't ever meant to be like JD and be a skateboarder or a longboarder. I'm clearly not meant to be a hoverboarder either. And then luckily for me, within a year, they all just started exploding. So I didn't really feel like I missed out on anything. I was like, well, I wasn't going to be bad at it anyways. And now it's a fire hazard. So
The funky
fine.
duck, as they
Oh,
were called
man.
for like 1 month.
yeah, I was like, they came out with it first. So we're like, that's the name we're running with. It couldn't be called anything else.
Right.
It looks awesome when somebody pulls it off. I've got kids on my street doing it. They're like between 8 and 10, and they're just so comfortable on it. Looks pretty freaking cool. And they're hanging on to ropes while bikes whip them around.
Wow.
Pretty
What?
badass.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean,
That's not
They
cool.
got banned or something like that. I don't know. Guess not. Guess they're still out there.
they're still out there in the wild. Got to get creative during the quarantine. Got to do some crazy stuff. Mine is, I'm uncertain whether or not I'm gonna like Hamilton the musical, because it came on Disney a month ago, and I've started watching it, but I haven't really like.
You
Sat there
started
and-
watching it? What do you watch
Yeah.
a movie like Lee Ellis now, or you
Yeah.
watch it for 20 minutes and turn it off?
Well, it's hard. It's really hard to sit through all of Hamilton. No offense. It's not. I have to be there. I think the big difference is being there. Being there. It's just the whole musical experience on the television. I'm not sure. Maybe I am going to like it. Yeah, something pulled me out of it, Skeets. Or else, of course, I'm going to tune in for the whole thing. Maybe a quick intermission to quick pee break and powder my nose. Maybe get some more popcorn. But I didn't tune in for the whole thing. I don't know. I know JD has loved every second of
You've
it.
seen it live, right, JD?
Yeah, I've seen it live, but I haven't watched it yet on Disney.
I watched it. I enjoyed it. I mean,
the same.
like, I'm not a musical lover, despite growing up in Stratford with the theater. But but I was entertained enough that that's fine. I could, of course, if I'm there in person, I'm sure it's a lot more enjoyable, like you did.
Absolutely. Also, you can't leave. You got people on either side. You're literally captive. You could leave at intermission, I guess, or you could get up and leave, but that would be uncouth, in my opinion.
Really?
You probably can't have your phone out as well either, right? So you're not checking, you're not scrolling through stuff.
Not sitting around me, you're not.
What's your favorite song, JD?
From Hamilton?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Here Comes the General, whatever it's called. I don't know if that's what it's called. It's where you meet George Washington for the first time.
Okay, yeah. There's some catchy songs.
Oh, yeah.
There's also some like laugh out loud moments just because you're like, when you think about what you're watching. But it's entertaining. Task, get back into it, man.
I will. Yeah. There's just too much talent on stage. I mean, what they're doing it's impressive, but sometimes it's like riding a funky duck. I just fall off. And just like, what's going
I agree,
on?
man. It was a little overwhelming for me. We watch everything with closed caption on. When you're watching that with closed caption on, the words are like rapid fire. I feel like I've never been reading faster in my life. But I don't know. I can imagine seeing it live. It just must be overwhelmingly amazing. The sensory overload of it and the performance of it for sure would be awesome. But when you're talking about a TV movie, give me Matthew Broderick's The Music Man any day of the week. You got to know the territory.
I've never seen that.
Me neither.
No, it's not that good. It's actually not that good. It's very bad. But if you're a fan of Ferris Bueller, you might like to hear him sing.
Did you guys see Ferris Bueller was at a game as a fan?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like virtual.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
He's
there. He snuck out of it. He put something in his bed and snuck out, and he's in the game. I haven't watched anything this entire time since NBA has started, like restarted. I haven't watched a single episode of Alone, any of the crap reality shows that I generally watch.
You
Nothing.
watched 12 minutes of snooker the other day.
I did watch your YouTube clip of snooker. There's been some online things that I've watched, but I've not seen anything on the television. Am I alone on that? Have you guys actually had any time to watch anything else? Because basketball starts as soon as you get up.
Yeah, my schedule is pretty much.
Yeah. You've watched a lot. You've watched Hamilton on repeat.
Yeah, I just actually, this is related, being late to something. I just started, I'm about to finish Watchmen. It's good.
Oh, the series, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is good.
Love it.
Someone today just said they restarted The Sopranos, which is like, whoa, you're in for the long haul. That's like, isn't that 7 or 8 seasons?
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that because of the Talking Sopranos podcast. Okay. Through, episode by episode, Michael Imperioli and who's the other guy? The guy who plays Bobby Bacala.
Okay. So they just go through it every episode. You can watch it again with them. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that next pandemic. We're gonna rewatch every episode of The Starters and do a podcast about it. This is the episode when Lee had to wear the unicorn mask.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Well, Matt used to make us watch episodes over again. Remember?
It's true. No, we're not watching The Starters. We're gonna watch every episode of Rick Fox After Dark, and then we'll do a podcast as a bunch of Sean Connerys commenting on it. I forgot that happened at the end of last night's show. Fox After Dark. Little bit. Honorable mentions to a couple Celtics, a couple Beantown boys. Hayward and Tatum had big games, and then a couple of Rockets players, Harden and Austin Rivers. 41, 6, and 4 for Austin Rivers. So that's a big honorable mention. Didn't get it though. Damian Lillard, 51 points, 16 of 28 shooting, 15 of 16 at the line. Very Harden-like. 4 threes, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. Not bad. I do have a feeling, Lee, we're going to see a bunch of Austin Rivers-like players having these lines over the next couple of days here.
Yes.
There's going to be some weird 40s thrown in here. I don't know who it's going to be, but it'll be fun. The box score is going to be fun. Might get some funny Will boys. But let's get to tweet of the night.
Okay. Yes. I've got a couple here. It's from the one player. Well, sort of another guy is involved too. And you guys are going to have to answer the question at the end here because NBA Hung Boy, I don't know who he is, but he just put out a tweet that said, "What's your keep your AC on?" Mine, 79. Donovan Mitchell, I don't know if he follows him or not, but he just retweeted it with 60 degrees and then 3 like freezing face emojis. And Jack Harlow, he's the guy who's obviously involved there with Lou Williams there. He just tweeted back at Spider Mitchell and said, "What the hell?" And Donovan Mitchell retweeted and said, "I'm telling you, bro, and add like 3 to 4 blankets and hella pillows, you straight." And then Jack Harlow says, "Yeah, but what about when you're not in bed? What do you have it at?" And he just replies, 62 degrees. That to me is freezing cold in your house. I mean, 62. That's far too
very,
cold.
very, very cold. It's way too cold.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you guys have it at?
I'm a Celsius man in this house. When you come in this house, you take your shoes off like a good Canadian, and we only have Celsius. But I'm a 23 Celsius, so we run quite warm, I'd say.
Yeah.
I like it a little warmer than colder. Yeah.
I think that's about 75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
a bit cooler. I'm around 72. I like it a little cool, but Roxana likes it a touch warmer. So we have to sometimes settle for a 73, 74. But I do like it cooler at night, though. Like I'm definitely with Donovan on that. Like, give me the under the blankets.
Oh, yeah.
Colder because man, when you got one of those hot, sticky nights that we've got here, and we've got another month or so of them at least, and we've had them for the last 2 months, it's tough to get a good, comfortable night's sleep.
I thought you were going to take us through every temperature number.
When you're sleeping, you like to go under 70, but it's hard to say. Are you going to be cuddling at night? Are they going to show up to bed at the same time? You might want to go 72 until they arrive. Then you're going to go under 70, lower it down just slowly. It's hard to say.
Well, that's definitely true that, us males bring a little extra heat to the bed.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that science? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure about it because
I'll take your word
Not
for
buying
it.
No, it is. I mean, because like Roxana says, like she can sort of feel when I'm in bed because it just warms up.
Well, okay, but that doesn't mean men are run hotter.
Yeah, it's because when you get in bed, you're the new NBA hung boy.
Running hot.
I'm bringing the heat.
Yeah, I thought you were definitely going to go 69 there. I actually thought this was just an ad read for that thermostat that you've had behind you.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't been tuning into our YouTube shows, the only thing behind Lee Ellis on his wall is a thermostat. So people in the YouTube chats have definitely been asking you to go back and just take a look there, pop it up a couple degrees, pop it down a couple degrees.
What do you have it set at right now, Lee?
Well, I think
Go take a peek.
Yeah, a little thermostat check.
Yeah, let's see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, you check.
All
I'm
right.
usually like a 68. I like it nice and cold. I like heavy blanket.
Yeah, we're rocking it. We're rocking a 76, but I think it's
Whoa!
Yeah, I've got the door
Too
closed. But this is also Roxana's office during the day, so
But she likes it hotter in there.
Yeah, she has a little bit warmer. Yeah.
Hot yoga.
Bar 3. We're a Bar 3 family.
How dare me? How dare you? All right. Great. What a tweet. JD, you want to answer? I mean, we've got everybody else tasked. Did you answer too? I want to know now. Now I got to know what your house is.
I too am Celsius. 20 degrees is room temperature to me.
20? That's a little chilly, my man.
That's fresh.
What was that? 68 or so.
Okay. And Tass?
You're a wild man.
Why do I feel like Tass, you run a little warmer, right? Then cold.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, we go floor to floor in our house. You change it up floor to floor. And like it a little cooler on top, definitely in the bedrooms, but like a little hot below in the basement.
In the basement.
We got a fire going in the basement right now. About 88.
What?
No, I'm
Clean our
kidding.
basement at 88 degrees.
It is about
It's
76.
like
in the
hell
basement.
down here. I love it.
Yeah.
Us males bring a little extra heat to the basement. Am I right?
Yeah. We were rocking an 89 on our top floor a few weeks ago when our air conditioning broke. No, our air conditioning broke. It was 89. It was yeah.
Can't open the windows even.
No,
Make it hotter.
No, you can't. Yeah.
What'd you do? Sleep just straight nude?
No,
It's
well,
off?
we got the ceiling fan, so that was like
It's
moving
blowing
the heat
around hot air at that point.
Yeah. It was only one night. We got our mate Carlos to take care of things for us, so
Good.
he was there. He fixed us up.
Did you play the Taylor Swift album?
Which one?
1989.
No, I
Give
should
me
have.
just one night by 98 degrees.
No, I played Nelly's Hot. What is it? It's getting hot. In here. Hot in here with a double R.
Hey guys, tomorrow night is our record-breaking night, by the way. It'll be 12 shows in a row. If you thought tonight was special, wait till you see what's in store tomorrow night. Okay, pick 'em results. Sixers, Blazers. Blazers were favored by 2.5, so they had to win by 3, and they pulled it out in the end. They win this game by 3. Trey, unfortunately, was the only one to have the Sixers, so that's a loss for him. He goes to 5-6. Everybody else got the W. Lee, you're 5-6. I'm 6-5, and so is Tass. So still very, very close here. What's our game for Monday?
The only undefeated team left in the bubble, getting her going with OKC, and this one's just on League Pass, as far as I can tell, unless that's changed. Phoenix favored by 4.5.
Wow.
I guess because OKC is on a back-to-back,
Yeah.
you'd assume. So who do we got? Do you think Phoenix is going to keep going?
First, I'm sticking with the Valley Boys, the Bubble Boys, the Cinderella Sons. Maybe I'll throw it out into the world too. Booker goes for 56. We get both on Monday. He goes over the 55.5 and he gets the W. They win by 5 or more points. Yeah, give me the Suns.
Yeah, I've got a feeling Chris Paul's probably not going to play. Steven Adams probably won't play too. Missed today's game. I think the Suns, it's basically their season on the line tomorrow, as great as they've been so far. So I think they've got it in them to go 4.5, did you say?
It's 4.5, yeah. They gotta win by
so 5
more.
points, yeah. So I'll take the Suns
The man
too.
loves to check the numbers.
All right, Trey, what do you got?
Man, 6 straight wins for the Phoenix Suns. First time in 40 years. Could it possibly happen? Only time will tell. Give me the Suns as well. They actually have something to play for. And Lee's convinced me that nobody's going to play for OKC.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm going to guess. Chris Paul may not play, but I think Steven Adams is going to play because he was listed as active. Then they took him off today. So 4.5. Is that right? Is it 4.5?
Yep.
Yeah.
4.5.
Oh, okay.
But in Celsius, it's 8 in Canadian.
Everybody riding the Suns for now, for the first time. I think everybody's there's too many people on the Suns. That's why I'm taking OKC.
And I mean, you might have Dort shutting down Booker.
No doubt.
That could be a matchup. All right. So Tass, the only one taking OKC as the dogs there. Everybody else taking the Suns to win by 5 or more points. Wow. When's the last time the Suns were favored by 4.5? I bet it's been a while. Okay, guys, keep emailing us your questions and comments to nodunks@theathletic.com. As you see, we sprinkle a few in. Those are some good ones tonight. We'll hit the beach at some point this coming week too. So get those cues in, get your comments in, nodunks@theathletic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube. And if you listen to the pod on iTunes, leave your boys a sweet 5-star rating and review. And within the review, you got to let us know what you keep your house temperature at. Recall Celsius or Fahrenheit. You tell us. We're back tomorrow, Monday night, for our record-breaking 12th consecutive podcast. Oh, we've done 11 straight shows before in Vegas, and this was our 11th tonight. But tomorrow will be special for the 12th consecutive podcast. So it'll be a blast. All right, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
I'm not sure where to go with this quote. Sometimes I feel like Celsius is superior to Fahrenheit, but sometimes I feel like Fahrenheit is superior to Celsius.
What you got?
So right now, hold on. Can I just get a number check? Just cut my mic. Cut it right now. Fahrenheit and Celsius. Now let me break this down for you.
Embrace
there it is.
Good boy.
Oh boy, how do we do an hour show?